just before we go play. So we have Kenya's, one of Kenya's top physiotherapists has worked with most of the top Kenyan teams across board, rugby, football, all of them. And here, Ken Otieno here, who also works for Prime Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Services in Nairobi, situated at Fortis. Karibu sana, Ken. Let me start quickly. What are some of the major conditions or injuries that you've dealt with that most athletes go through?
All right. Thank you, Tony, for giving me the opportunity to be here. Welcome. We appreciate the importance of physiotherapy in sports. Injuries related to athletes, they run across the board, and every game or every sporting activity has its own kind of injuries. For instance, if you go looking into injuries into football, one of the major injuries will be like having the ankle injuries from the players tackling. There is shin splints, there's knee injuries, there's ACLs, there's muscle pulls, there's groins, strains, and of course sometimes the contusions which would arise maybe from player knocking one another. So there are a set of injuries that comes in with every game. When you talk about golf, you talk about golfer's elbow, you talk about shoulder injuries, you talk about the back pain.
Like Tiger Woods had 5 surgeries,
Basically that. So there are different injuries according to the game that one is playing.
And there's a common one in football or in any sport where most athletes normally, it's a hamstring. How does a hamstring come about? And why does a player just stop up or two kamsa? They cannot do anything. And how is it here? How can someone really do it? Either at home or how can they take care of it?
Okay, hamstring injuries is a muscular injury. Basically, it occurs when mass is not prepared for an action. For instance, if you go for a game without stretching or doing exercise prior to that game, it reaches a point whereby the muscles is not able to stretch to the full length for an activity. So in that case, with a strain, then you start having the muscle fatigue.
Very true.
So when it fatigue, it means that there will be a twitch of the muscles, and therefore the muscle will contract to not allow you to stretch until you put it in a position that doesn't stretch to the full length. So in that situation, the management first is to address it at the field, and then look at it. If it's a major injuries, then you can go treat it further from the field. But immediate thing when that occurs is that you have to lift the leg, look at the mode of injury. After understanding the mode of injury, because some of these things, like especially if you're in the field, in most cases, we have the physiotherapists at the bench. They are there with the technical bench, looking at what happens. So definitely they've seen this has just been a muscle pull. So a muscle pull, you need to give it a gentle stretch. At some point, most of us do massage, but massage in the initial cases, to some extent, might not be the best because you massage and cause more injury. First is to look at what is the cause of that, assess, talk with the player, check the reaction of the player. It's a minor injury, you can do stretches, you can do a little bit of manipulation if there is need, then the player gets back to the field.
And a muscle pull is a very common one, especially, and it's very dangerous when you're swimming at the deep end. Muscle pulls also should be, of course, a case of whereby you didn't stretch before, or you're not very active. How do you address a muscle pull? Where you're in the middle of the swimming pool, umeshikwa na muscle pull, you deep end.
Definitely, that is a bit dangerous if you are in the middle of a swimming pool and you had a muscle injury. You need to keep your legs stretched, or if you stretch and feel pain, then do the opposite of that, because basically that will help. Because otherwise, if it's in the middle of the pool and then you're unable to come out, it will be difficult to continue with your exercise of
But muscle pulls sometimes occur everywhere. You can find you have a muscle pull either on top of your thigh, below the thigh. What could be the cause of it?
One thing, just like we have mentioned, is that lack of preparation to that. That is, there's no warm-up. So if there's no warm-up, there's normally accumulation of the lactic acid. So if there's an accumulation of the lactic acid, in the middle of exercising, if the muscles are not able to work out and get rid of this lactic acid, it tends to accumulate. Then that makes the muscle to contract.
Very true.
Yes.
And of course, the tearing of the muscle, just in short, we normally hear commentators saying, or a story, a player has torn their muscle, tendon muscle. What exactly is that? Is it that muscle imekatika huko ndani, or what exactly is it, and how do you really get it?
Tear of the muscles, yes, it could be like the way you said it, but to some point, we do a physical assessment to establish whether it is torn or not. At some point, if it's a tear of the muscles, then advanced diagnostic tools has to be used to know exactly if the muscle is torn or not. But depending on the severity of the injury, that's why we normally encourage, or rather what we do, we normally get in touch with the player at the site of the injury, get to see how it happened. If it was that serious and the player perhaps is not able to put weight on the leg, they are limping, to some point if there's an aspect of the swelling, tenderness, that one can tell you that there's likelihood of the tear having occurred. But to get more into that, we get into doing maybe the ultrasound to confirm that there's a tone of the ligament, of the muscle, basically. So in the initial stage, we've got the approaches that we use to help this player before we go for advanced management. In most cases, you must have seen us walking around with the ice.
Yes, ice.
Ice is basically very key in the acute injuries. Okay. Yeah, and we don't encourage the application of hot liniments like deep heat. It's not very advisable in the acute stages of injury.
Oh, very
yes.
true. Ken Otieno, of course, quickly, where can you be found? Definitely me, I've got a chance to interact with the physiotherapists, Ken being one of them. I train a lot, I play football a lot, I jog a lot, I go to the gym a lot, and I know a chuma a lot. So definitely I've interacted with the physiotherapists. Where can you be found on social media, or where exactly are you located, just in case one wants to talk to you on social media or they physically want to come? Okay,
physically I'm available at 40 Suits, that is along Hospital Road, next to Kenyatta. We're on the first floor at a facility named Prime Physiotherapy Services and Rehabilitation. On the other side, you're most available at Upper Hill Medical Center, still Prime Physiotherapy Services. But because of the need, we also have a branch at Karen. So I go around, but most of the time I'm available at 40 Suits.
Prime Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Services, that's where you can find them on social media. I'm sure Facebook, you can communicate with people very easily.
Yeah, Facebook also is at Prime Physiotherapy
and Rehabilitation
Services.
Ken Otieno, one of Kenya's top physiotherapists, has worked and works with some of the top Kenyan teams and athletes across board. Of course, sharing that in a bit. Definitely we'll have this conversation going on so that you can call in either live or you can send your questions. Ajibu vizuri kabisa kabisa. But today I was just telling you that this show cares about your health. You don't need to take drugs to heal your muscle pull. You have people who can just massage you in a nice way while they're smiling. I'm sure you've seen the team. Thank you very much. Prime Physiotherapy Therapy and Rehabilitation Services. Ni watu wazuri sana. And thank you for making time. Ni mtu busy, alitoroka kazini. Anakuja kwenye This of course is K24 Sports Hub. Thank you very much for watching.